All right, there it is. Mississippi Outdoors Radio is always brought to you by the Foundation for Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. We're here with you today. And we're ready to go. Adam Butler here with us is right here with us with the Wildlife Bureau. How are you, man?
Glad to be here again, JT.
It's Monday all over the place.
It's Monday. Happy first day of fall,
yes.
By the way. It's only 90-something.
Well, it's not as bad as it was this time last week. I'll give you that.
I see 97 on the
Give it
forecast.
a few days. It's going to get back.
I'll give it that. I see Adam. Let's see. We got Major Chris Reed over here to your right.
Got Major.
Well, you got me, man. It's my favorite day of the year, fall.
The first day of fall.
Mm-hmm.
But there's better things to come.
Yeah, hope so. We
And
need
a lot of them
need a
we'll
little
talk
cool
about.
front. You know, we normally have
No,
like
we
a cool
need
front
a
in September.
big cool front, not a little cool front.
Yeah, normally you
Sustainable.
get a couple of days or maybe even twice in the month of
I
September.
I was thinking about it on the way here.
Start to see the 50s at night a little bit.
An opening day of bow season, like probably 10 years ago, where it did not. This was in the Delta. It didn't get out of the 50s that day, October 1st.
I don't think we have much hope for that.
We probably aren't going to get there this year.
No.
You never know. Rain is what we need more than anything right now.
Right
I know
about
there's
that.
a lot of burn bans out right now.
For sure.
To go from where we were all year, wet, now it's flipped a switch, and now we're talking about we need rain and burn bans, and it's it changes with the wind around here.
No doubt about it. All right, who'd y'all bring in here with you today?
We have Miss Emily Jo Wiggins, and I'm Emily Jo is a very. I think the listeners are going to like this. She's a great personality and very passionate about her subject. She's from the Visitors Education Center at the North Mississippi Fish Hatchery, JT, which is right on 55.
Right there in Enid.
Yep, that's right. That's right. So we're going to get to that here in a little bit.
All right, can I say one thing about that? I know y'all have a freezer there for the CWD.
Correct.
They need somehow to get 24-hour access to that, and the reason why I know my buddy hunts up there. So can y'all figure that out for them? Because that's one of those.
Make a note, JT.
They went up there, and when it was closed, they couldn't get in there to do it.
Can't get behind the gate.
Couldn't get behind the gate. So if there's any way that they could possibly do that, it just dawned on me because he's been on me to ask y'all about that. And that's really the only place for Grenada,
You're right.
that area right there, that they can go and turn anything in.
Yeah.
Sure. I made a note. We'll check on that.
Especially now that they're in the zone, too. So
Right.
We'll check with Chief of Staff Walsh
There you go.
and see what we can come up with.
Yep.
All right, everybody's wide open right now.
Yeah, JT, this is for our agency and in the Wildlife Bureau, this is a big time of the year. Everybody's got a lot going on, so I just kind of wanted to take this opportunity to give a shout out to all of our folks in the field. Our WMA staff, they're really running wide open right now, prepping food plots, getting those ready, taking advantage of the dry weather to put in a bunch of infrastructure projects and work on roads. Been kind of waiting. Normally we plan all of that in the summertime, and for most of this summer it never really dried out. So we've got a lot going on with WMAs. Our private lands folks, this is a really busy time for them. They're all meeting with landowners. Everyone's kind of wanting to get their ducks in a row for hunting season and recommendations on deer harvest. And so those guys that implement our DMAP program, our Deer Management Assistance Program,
so, Butler,
they're really busy right now.
Private land folks that want to kind of help out on the camera survey in the South Delta, are there still opportunities to do that?
I'm sure we would still be willing to, and Chris is referring to the big camera survey we're going to be doing in conjunction with Mississippi State, looking at deer densities and how things have responded now that the water's gone down over there. We're really, throughout the whole process of this flood, we've been trying to monitor the impacts as best we could.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that, JT, with the surveys we were doing on the levee, and stuff like that. And so now that the water's gone, we want to see how things respond.
I mean, this will be data that, is kind of unprecedented.
Yeah,
the data
the scale of it for sure. So we're going to, hopefully we'll have enough data, and the data will be good enough to really estimate the deer density across the entire South Delta. So we'll be able to see, where it's high, where it's low, and be able to make some assumptions on flooding impacts from that. So if we had a meeting a couple of weeks ago with a lot of the clubs over there, the DMAP clubs. So if you're one of those clubs and you still want to get involved, do give us a call at the office, and we could probably get that set up. So that's going on. And speaking of the South Delta, the commission is meeting this week, and we'll vote on the regs for the South Delta. I know we've talked about that a lot, and there's a lot of people out there anticipating what will be done with the regulations.
You remember those off the top of your head?
We put those
the
out there.
listener?
The proposed regs are the archery season being slightly delayed till October 15th,
Okay.
and then the season running through January 5th.
Yeah.
Those are in proposal phase now, so we've taken public comments. So they are subject to change, but the commission will vote this Thursday. I think the meeting is,
Thursday
right?
morning.
Thursday.
Yeah.
And so after that, those regs will be in place and be final. So hopefully we'll be able to give you an update on that next week, what the final verdict is on those.
And we'll be, once that's made final, we'll probably be putting that out pretty hot off the presses due to the fact that it's,
That's right.
right before deer season.
Not a lot of lead time on that.
All right. And, of course, teal season still going on too, right?
Yeah, we talked about that with Houston last week. I saw him in the office this morning and asked him, what the status of the teal were. Where we, a lot of them, because they're kind of by the day. JT,
Mm-hmm.
you wake up some days and
and
there's a lot of them there, and then
90-degree cool front could move them who knows where. They're kind of like doves.
Yeah, that goes back to what we were saying earlier. Usually we have a September cool front that kind of pushes them in. But he said they're still getting some decent reports. There's still birds around, and just wanted to remind the listeners, if that's an opportunity I think that a lot of people overlook, and so this coming weekend will be the last weekend of that. So take advantage as you can. We've plugged the WMA check-in apps a lot over the last several weeks, and those should be available for download just any day now. They've been sent to the Apple. If you're an iPhone user, they've been sent to the Apple Store, and if you're an Android user, they're at the Google Store. And I think they have just not turned them on yet, so just any day now should be ready to go.
Got a couple of questions here. Do I have to let a leaseholder access their leased warehouser through my property in Monroe County? I don't think so. Not unless there's egress already there. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's going to be some more particulars to flesh out in that conversation, I think.
That's just hard for us to answer without not knowing all the facts.
Yeah, and I'm not a lawyer.
I understand. And another question about feeding deer for watching. If you are in the CWD zone, you cannot feed deer, period.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of those questions coming up. Obviously, leading into deer season, people are wanting to double check, and that's good. But in a CWD zone, there's no feeding at all. And by no feeding, we mean no feeding. And there's so many, well, what about this or what about that? It's just no feeding, period. In those CWD zones. Now, outside the zone, nothing has changed as of last year before last. You still have to go by the parameters that are set forth and follow those if you're outside the zone. Now, those zones are listed on our website. There's a picture there with the counties that are in the CWD zone shaded in yellow. And so if you're in one of those counties, you cannot feed, period.
Okay. All right. That's what we want people to know. And I know this. A lot of people say, well, I'm just going to feed my deer and just watch them out here in the backyard. That is against the law as well, and you will be ticketed. And it doesn't matter if you are doing it in the city limits or if you're doing it in the country. If you're in the CWD zone, if you're inside the zone, if you're inside the CWD management zone, which is up there on it, they will absolutely have to issue a ticket, and it's just really there's no fringe.
They're gray there.
I mean,
and that's it, JT. I mean, we're just we've taken this disease very seriously and are trying to do anything and everything we can do to prevent or slow the spread of it. So nose-to-nose contact out of feeder is just a good way to pass that disease along. And really, that's nothing outside of what other states have done as they found CWD. Even states that have been legal baiting states for a long, long time, in a lot of cases will disband or will ban baiting when they find the disease. So nothing unusual there.
No, it's not unusual, and that's the thing out there. And I know that's going to be hard.
Well, we've made it a few thousand years harvesting animals without pouring corn on the ground or pouring it in a feeder. So I think we'll be all right.
I think you'd be just right. And, of course, we just don't want people to think that, hey, I'm not hunting, I'm just watching.
Yeah.
Doesn't work. That doesn't work that way either. And we are getting ready to go. We're going to get started here and talk about the North Mississippi Fish Hatchery with Emily Jo Wiggins. Now, you did get an answer for me about the freezer?
JT, this is how much we appreciate your input. So
right.
we have all the Enid freezer this year will actually be outside the compound there at the fish hatchery, so it will be open for 24 hours a day.
Well, and
now we already had it set up that way, but if you want to, JT, we'll give you credit for that one.
At least anyway.
Yeah, you tell your buddy you got that done for him.
Yeah, he owes me one. All right, yeah, I'll definitely do that. I do want to remind folks it's so important to do that, not only for the safety for you and your family if you're going to consume the meat, but also it helps y'all.
Right, and we've got a lot more of those freezers available this year. I think it's 36 total locations. Does that sound right, Chris?
I was 35, 36, something like that. I saw
so
that.
There's, we've been able to expand that greatly this year. We'll here in a few weeks, as deer season starts ramping up, I'm sure we'll have a show focused on this year's response to the disease.
And like I said, it's not going anywhere, y'all.
Right.
It's here to stay, so we're just going to have to learn to cope with it. All right, before we get to Emily Jo, let's take this call. Preston on the road. What can we do? Preston, what's up on your mind? Hello, Preston. You're on the air. What can we do for you?
How in the world are y'all doing today? Doing a great job. Thank you very much. I have turned 65 years of age. Can y'all kind of explain to everybody out there what you still need to do as far as purchasing state duck stamps, saltwater license, WMAs, whatever it may be? And then my second part of that question is that I've been told that I can buy a one-time license for approximately $30 or $30-something, and the federal government will match that for several years to keep helping our departments do the great things that y'all are doing. So those are my questions for you.
All right.
Yeah, Preston, we appreciate the call. Your gobble's getting a little raspy these days. That sounds
It's
like an old Tom.
It's about like my body. It's about worn out, but I can still do enough to kill turkey, okay?
There you go. That is a good question, Preston. We appreciate you bringing that up. At 65, as far as the state of Mississippi is concerned, you're exempt from a hunting license.
Hunting license, yeah.
Now, the only one would be federal duck stamp.
Federal duck stamp. You still need your state stamp. Get those, and you are exempt from WMA permits.
Mm-hmm.
And the exempt license you were talking about, I don't believe it's $30. I think it's like $5 and some change. And the senior exempt license will allow the agency to count the license holder of that exempt license for federal match dollars. So we can continue to get some money from the federal government, and we can put that back into our resources, in our management areas, and public lands that our sportsmen and women enjoy.
Yeah, Chris is correct. So I'm looking at the Outdoor Digest right here. That senior exempt license is going to cost you about $5. The only thing it would not include would be your waterfowl stamp. And Chris is right. That way we get to continue counting you as a hunter in terms of our match on wildlife restoration dollars. So appreciate the question.
Thank you, man. All right, Emily Jo, let's go to work here right now, and let's talk about the Visitor Education Center. Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, we are the Visitor Education Center. They're at the North Mississippi Fish Hatchery. Our main mission, of course, is to let visitors know about our natural resources, what we're doing for Mississippi waters, and to kind of give them a little more, some idea of sport fishing in Mississippi.
Mm-hmm. And it's at Enid Lake, correct?
It is. Adjacent to Enid Lake, right off the interstate. Exit 233.
So how long has it been there? Tell me about that.
Now, the hatchery was put into operation in 2006. The Education Center opened to the public in 2009. So we've been there for a little while.
And what kind of fish are hatched there?
We do mostly sport fish.
Yeah.
They're at the hatchery. Spawning season, of course, starts in the spring. And right now, of course, we're not doing anything at the hatchery because it's just not that time of year.
Right.
Pretty soon, hopefully, like they said, when the temperatures cool down, when water temps cool down, we'll be harvesting those fish. And we do, on average, I would say maybe about 10 different species a year, but of course that does change from year to year depending on what's needed. But mostly sport fish, and we never sell fish or give them away. Everything that the hatchery raises goes back into public waters for public fishing. And the Education Center is connected to that and just lets people know that, among other things.
So I presume y'all probably, have Florida bass?
Largemouth bass. We did native northerns. Bluegill,
Right.
red-eared sunfish, of course, crappie. We do crappie. Like I said, mostly sport fish. We've worked on other projects before, things of that nature, but again, mostly sport fish to go back into state waters.
And, as you said, you don't sell fish. Y'all don't sell to the public. There are places that the public can get fish.
Right, there are.
But that's not the duty of this. This goes into like the WMAs and the private, or rather the parks where the lakes and different things like that are, right?
Right. I want to say that our Fisheries Bureau, it's over 250,000 acres of waterway in Mississippi that's open to public fishing, something like that.
Wow.
I would have to go back and look, but if it's open to public fishing, then yes, we get our stocking request in, so on and so forth, and that's what we do.
And the hatchery, so I guess it's do they do the same fish every year?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily. Biologists take surveys, determine what's needed and where. And, of course, we did, just to give an example, this year we did the Gulf Coast walleye, started with that, largemouth bass, black crappie, white crappie, again, bluegill. It just depends. We've done flathead catfish before. It just depends on what's needed and where.
Well, there you go. That works. So what all is there to see there? Obviously, you could see the fish if their fish were actually being hatched. Is the public able to see that when it's happening?
Well, when you first enter our facility, the first thing you're going to see is a 10,000-gallon aquarium. And we have, I'd say right now, between 10, 15 different species of fish. Now, when you come through the Education Center, there's aquarium, museum. There are our 2 80-foot raceways outside. There's an observation area to the hatchery. So the public can look out into a state-of-the-art hatchery, take a virtual tour of what goes. So even if they don't come during spawning season, there's still a lot to see and do, and they can still see what it is the hatchery does.
And there's obviously the youth come through there, I guess, field trips, things like that.
We have lots of field trips.
Right.
We're a popular destination for that. We have everything from preschool to college level. So yes, field trips, programs. We take them on a tour of the museum, outside aquarium, do aquarium Q&A, and then of course our programs, our fish programs.
Talk about the fish programs. What is it? Unpack that a little bit.
Okay, so fish programs, FISH, that's fun, interesting, surprising, and hands-on. That's our acronym for it.
Well played. Did you come up with that?
Did.
You did?
That's actually
Wow.
because we have programs for all ages and abilities.
How long did it take you to come up with that acronym?
I don't want to brag.
It would have taken me, to try. All right, well, fish is an obvious one to try to use, and then we're going to try to put something with each letter. I'd have been there forever.
So, but we do, and it's for our students, our groups that come through, that they can learn more about fish. It's in an educational but entertaining way.
I took my kids, all teenagers, to the hatchery in Enid. Jeff and Grenada said this. They loved it. We hand-fed catfish in ponds and fry and troughs. The staff was friendly, came out and fed the fish in the aquarium just for the kids. They got to watch the game fish hunt when the bait fish were introduced into the aquarium, and the kids were really surprised how aggressive brim are. Yes,
now
they
that's
are.
kind of cool. That would be cool to see.
We do aquarium
I've never been there
feedings.
when they do that. When
You need to
the
come
game
up.
fish hunting the bait fish.
The bass
It's
are
a
very aggressive.
sight to see.
yeah.
It's a sight to see. I used to have a bass. He was about 5 inches long, maybe, and we would feed him minnows a couple of times a month, and it was.
Just suck it in.
We used to. Oh yeah, I'd call buddies and say, "Fish are gonna get fed today. Come check it out." And it was impressive how quickly
And that's what. And for like groups like that, we do what's called a fish transformer program. We actually turn the kids into fish. One group may be bass, one group may be bluegill. We're around the aquarium. They learn about what they eat, where they live, what eats them, and it's so funny that usually by the end of the program, nobody wants to be a fish. They'd much rather
So
go
they're
out
like
fishing.
chasing one another around then, huh?
Well, not exactly. Not exactly. No, we don't do
I
that.
thought
Yeah, the
like
bath.
mass chaos in that place.
One for you, Reed. Real quick question: do we have to remove empty feeders from hunting areas?
No, you don't. The law does not specify you have to remove them. You just can't put anything in them. And if you got feeders,
We're going to be coming down there
you'll
and
check
checking
it.
on
Now
you.
we're not going to just like come around and just harass you because you got a feeder. But I mean, if it's not an issue,
It would
bring
be.
it in.
It would behoove you to put it
Keep
in
it
the
out of the
barn.
weather. Now,
Yeah.
if those big heavy ones, now they're hard to kind of move, but we don't have to remove them.
As we continue here with Emily Jo Wiggins with the National North Mississippi Fish Hatchery Visitors Education Center. Someone had asked about the bridge that's been out toward the fisheries. That's really doesn't have anything to do with the department. That's on the Army Corps of Engineers, isn't it?
Right. It has nothing. Yeah, it's not ours.
Okay. So if you got questions about that, you need to direct that toward them. So talk to me about some of the past programs y'all have had going on at the North Mississippi Fish Hatchery there. Some of the past programs that have been successful.
A lot of the programs we do are geared toward different interests, but it revolves around the outdoors. One of the most popular programs we have had has been the Youth Art Contest, and we just finished that up this past May. We are very excited about that because so many students have participated. It has been just one of those programs that has increased in participation. And I have to say, we have some amazing talent in our youth. They pick a native Mississippi species and portray it in their own artistic way.
And so when did the art contest start?
It started in 2014, but 2019 has been by far the largest year so far.
Okay. How many students were participating?
We had 400 this year, but
Wow.
since it started, we have taken in almost 2,000 pieces of artwork since it first started.
Are these available for people to see?
They are. The winners have actually been included in the Mississippi Outdoors issue, the September-October issue. But you can also go to our website, mdwfp.com. You can see winners and honorable mentions from this year, their names, the mediums they used. But you can also see all the participants and winners from past years back to 2014.
So, JT, some of them are really impressive.
Impressive.
If you haven't checked them out, those kids have talent. A lot of talent.
Absolutely. And we have everything from crayons and colored pencil for the younger groups. It's in 4 age categories, ages 5 to 19. And some of the older ones, we have everything from oil paintings to sculptures. It's just amazing.
So what did the winners get?
Well, the contest was sponsored by the Mississippi Wildlife Fisheries and Parks Foundation. So first place winners got a $100 Bass Pro gift card, second place $50, third place $25. And not only did they get certificates for display, but the schools did as well. And honorable mentions also got a certificate for display.
Tell me about teacher workshops. Do y'all do that?
We do. I want to say we had about 140 educators just this past summer. So basically what they do, they come to the Education Center and we turn them into the students. They receive free CEUs, which are continuing education units, what they need to maintain their certification.
Right.
But they learn more about our natural resources, and they also take resources back to their classroom.
How about that? All right. Youth Gyutaku.
Gayotaku.
Gyutaku.
Fish printing program.
What is that?
All right,
Does
so
that involve a 3D printer where we print fish?
no, sorry.
Oh, okay.
It is very hands-on. It combines science and art. It's a great program for our young people. We basically take fish molds, ink, we create fish prints. Now, people have done this with live fish, but we don't. We just use the molds because we reuse them over and over again. We do different species of fish. We're talking drum, largemouth bass, bluegill, green sunfish. And once we get through printing our fish, then we go to the aquarium and we ID the fish based on our prints for what's in the aquarium. And this has just been a very popular program. We will be doing it again.
All right, you talking about printing them. You talking about, like, when I hear printing, I think about like somebody going into the pokey and getting their fingerprints taken. Is that kind of the same
No,
thing?
Not exactly.
That's the law enforcement officer in you,
Yeah.
Mr. Major Reed.
You say print now.
I understand.
Yeah. We take a mold and basically cover it in ink and then lay the paper on
Kind
it.
of the same thing.
And come
Sorta?
back.
You cover it with ink, and then you turn it over and you press it on the paper.
That's sort of the same way.
So if you did this with a fish you caught, though, you wouldn't be able to, like, I'm not going to say lie, but let's say, fishermen tend to embellish a little bit how big the fish was. So if you're a fisherman or woman, an angler, you don't want to do this with your fish you catch, because then,
It depends
what
on
the
what
print
fish
is
you
what the
catch.
print is,
Depends on
Right.
what
It
fish
was
you
not that
catch.
big. It was that big.
That's right.
Where does this come from? Obviously, Asia.
It originated, of course, there. And to record, obviously, no one had cell phones to take pictures of their fish, is to record their fish catch. Of course, now we just use it to get children involved, and that's one of our missions there, too, is to get youth either, connect them to the outdoors or reconnect them to the outdoors.
You mentioned field trips. Obviously, those are important, and as you said, teachers can get the certification things they need. What about setting up a visit? What does a school need to do?
Well, they can go, again, to our website at mdwfp.com. There are a lot of resources there. There's an online registration form, but there's also, I have to say this, a downloadable educator's planning packet. What that is, it gives educators more of an idea on the details of the tour and the programs. It connects our tours and programs with state standards, but gives them an idea because we have so many different programs and alternatives for the different ages, for the different abilities. We adapt to meet the needs of the students.
Also, upcoming programs. Tell me about some of that you may have on the way or in the can, as they say.
We do have some programs here coming up for 2019, getting geared up for 2020, but one I would like to mention is the Tree ID that we're having this Saturday, September 28th at 2 o'clock. Brady Self with MSU Extension, he is the Northwest Mississippi Forestry Specialist. He is going to be doing a tree identification program for anyone that's interested in identifying trees, whether they're an avid hiker and they just want to learn more, if they're a landowner, have questions.
And when will this be again?
This Saturday, 2 o'clock.
Okay. Is this open to everybody?
Anybody is welcome to participate, yes. It's for anyone that's interested in learning more about tree identification.
Is there a fee or anything?
Just the price of admission.
Okay. And what is that?
Price of admission is $2 for youth and students. It's $2.50 for adults. Anyone over the age of 60, it's just $2, and anyone under the age of 3, it's free.
It sounds like a neat thing. Something to do if you're just traveling, a place to stop. Kind of make a pit stop and stretch your
I bet
legs.
a lot of people drive right by it, JT, and never even think about it.
I drive by it all the time.
Yeah. There's some cool. They got that display with all the old lures and stuff. That's really cool. They got some old fishing stuff in there.
We have
old
got
tackle and old
antique
neat.
tackle, boat motors. We've got an Evinrude, a Manutrol. We've also got a sport fishing simulator, which lets you land a monster bass.
Oh, really?
That is actually been a popular exhibit because for a lot of people that may never been fishing, it gives them a taste of the fishing experience.
So it's a virtual reality thing?
It's a virtual fishing game. Yes, you're on it.
It's got the little
got
reel, right?
Reel
Yeah.
and everything.
You feel the
So-
fish pulling.
Right.
Yeah.
You feel the strike. You have to get it to the boat, and it puts up a scrappy fight.
How about that?
Yeah.
I may have to come up there just to do that. That sounds like fun. It sounds like a lot of fun. So what are the hours again?
Tuesday through Saturday. Right now is our hours of operation, 8:30 to 4:30.
Well, it sounds like a lot of fun, and I hope that folks will do more or learn more about the hatchery and learn. It give you a chance to learn about our native fish and the species that are here in Mississippi. Great job today, Emily Jo. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Emily Jo Wiggins, our North Mississippi Fish Hatchery Visitor Education Center Director, as a matter of fact, right there. So we appreciate the folks that are up there, and y'all check it out. It's a great place to stop. Richard sent a picture of his kid. Looked like he had a little catfish right there. Some good fishing right now, too. right now, this time of year.
Yeah.
As you start easing into the fall and things start kind
And
of
I think
creeping
a lot
down.
of people overlook it, because everybody's gearing up for hunting season started.
Well,
but
the
it's a
fishermen that fish all the time love this time of year because everybody runs to the woods and they catch fish that are getting ready for winter, and that means they eat a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So you could catch them if you can find them.
Yep, this is true. And as you said, it's a good time to fish, a little fall fishing. As we got to finish up just a little house cleaning there. A couple of things
JT,
left
I
to
was
do.
going to mention, didn't talk about it at the top of the show, but want to remind the listeners we're rolling out voluntary harvest reporting for deer this year. We did game check for turkey back this spring, and it went really well. I think it went really well.
It went really well, Adam. You've done a
worked.
good job, man.
It was smooth, no hiccups.
You
But we're
good.
going voluntary for deer, so you're not required to, but we would really ask our hunters to do that to help us get information on deer harvest.
County level data, which would
and
benefit.
That update is already live in the MDWFP app. So if you've got the app on your phone, it should have already
Updated.
if you've got your phone set to automatic updates, it should have already updated so that the voluntary deer check-in there will be there.
I hadn't even looked,
I honestly haven't looked at mine, but I know it was supposed to. But yeah, so we got that going on, and then next week, JT, we'll have William McKinley, our deer program coordinator, in here to kind of give us a preview of deer season since it's here. What starts a week from tomorrow?
Archery.
Tomorrow?
Well, October
Yeah.
1st, whatever
October
day that
1st,
is.
week from tomorrow. Yeah.
Is that archery cranks up?
Yeah, so.
When does the primitive weapon get started?
Like November 8th.
I can't remember the exact date on that.
I think November 3rd, the youth begin their hunting with the firearms. And the primitive weapon doe only, antlerless
It's
only.
the 11th this year. is when
November
that'll be.
11th.
November the 11th.
It's a Monday, I believe.
And then
That's
the-
a Veterans Day. Yeah.
The 23rd would be the regular gun opener.
What used to be a holiday almost in the state. I remember when I was little, I would, my birthday is on the 21st of November. So if anybody wants to donate a cake, chocolate, yellow cake, that's whatever. But I would always get checked out on that Friday.
Do you want yellow cake with chocolate icing or
That's- yeah.
chocolate cake with yellow icing?
Either way.
Okay, all
one.
right, just making sure.
It doesn't really
Look,
matter.
You're letting yourself go, man. All these sweets. I got on to Reed the other day in the office. I saw him eat 2 pieces of cake. Reed's
Come on, man. It wasn't 2, it was
into,
1.
He's into being in
This thing's
shape.
growing like a fish story.
He's into being in shape. So.
It was 1 piece of cake.
What's wrong with a piece of cake every
Well,
once in a while?
for me and you, JT, no big deal. But Major Reed here, he
I
stays the fittest of the fit.
He is quite the specimen, isn't he?
Yeah, well, I mean,
All right, tell your story. Come on.
well, I don't remember. We
You said
got
you-
to talking
you were
about
young.
cake, and I'm kind of
You were young, it was your
Yeah, so
birthday.
we would get. I would get checked out of school on Fridays, and it was like Christmas Eve going deer hunting that Saturday afternoon. There would be trailers with 4-wheelers and 3-wheelers getting pulled behind them like everywhere. People were. It was like when you kick an ant bed. They were just everywhere. Those were good times. Good times.
Yeah, I can remember
It'll
those.
be here before we know it.
Man, you think about those. You remember those? I remember as a kid, we used to hunt over at Kings Point and riding that old ferry.
Yeah.
And then trying to climb that hill. If it was wet, boy, it could always be adventurous once you went
It
up
would
there.
lead to some memories there too.
Yes, sir, it would. Especially
And the
if you started
stories
going-
around the campfire.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
a key part of it.
Yeah, we
yeah.
got an old wiser gentleman that works with us that Adam and I have been trying to talk into telling some stories on the show by the name of Art. Reflections with Art is what we would name that segment, but we have yet to gain approval for that.
Well, he's being shy. He won't come on.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we would have some fun.
Yeah.
That's
we,
good. That's this time of year. Like when you go and you think about those times, and that's what hunting is about. Hunting and fishing is making those memories and, going out just like the people commenting about the fish hatchery. Their kids are going to this stuff and they're making the memories. And we can't underestimate, what some child or youth will think is like, and they'll remember for the rest of their life.
We get all kinds of stories coming through there, but it's those moments like that. You get a high school student that comes back and she's giving the tour for her family. She's the one saying what she's learned, what they saw, or like it's a granddad coming in with his grandsons, and then they take a look at the aquarium, their eyes light up, and then they start asking granddad questions, and then his face lights up, and then he starts going through the stories. This is this fish. This is that one, and then telling his story, so he gets to pass that on to them. And it's those moments right there.
Yeah, that you don't get if you don't get out there and experience.
Good stuff right there.
It's upon us. First day of fall.
Yes, it is. It is today.
Officially the first day of
And
fall.
it only feels like July. So.
Right, July 4th. I mean.
All right, thank you. I appreciate everybody being here with us today. And we'll have William McKinley next week as we'll continue with more Mississippi Outdoors Radio. As always, brought to you by the Foundation for Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks.